Welcome to the On Main Street podcast, where you'll meet some of the area's leading minds. These community leaders and business owners are ready to share their journeys of success, failures, and what it takes to reach your full potential.
We're your hosts, Kelly Baith
and Brady Lindquist. In this episode, we had the pleasure of sitting down with Rhonda Otteson and Mark Kopka to talk about The Link. The Link is a great organization helping connect the people of northern Kandiyohi County to various resources. Let's get right into it. First things first, thanks for coming on the podcast, taking the time and sharing your story.
Thank you.
You want to introduce yourselves?
My name is Rhonda Otteson, and I'm the Executive Director of The Link of Northern Kandiyohi County.
And I'm Mark Kopka. I'm pastor at Nordland Lutheran Church in rural Painesville, and I've been a past board member for The Link, and
Volunteer extraordinaire.
Would you tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school, just a little bit of your history as far as that goes?
Sure. I'm from Bruton and grew up in the Bruton, Belgrade, El Rosa area. That's where I graduated from high school. I did spend some time out in the state of Wyoming. My mom moved out there in my elementary school age years, so I'd kind of spend the school year out in Wyoming and then come back for holidays and summers to be in Minnesota with family and my dad. So
what age were you out there going to school in Wyoming?
3rd grade through 11th grade.
Okay. Also a lot of schooling.
Yeah,
Okay.
8 years, I guess.
Okay.
And then I came back for my senior year at BBE and played volleyball and graduated in 95.
Okay.
How about you, Mark?
So I grew up in Pequot Lakes, Minnesota, or outside of Pequot Lakes, up north of Brainerd, and a small little hobby farm, and went to college at Concordia College in Moorhead, and have been kind of meandering basically the upper Midwest between St. Paul and Madison, Wisconsin, and short stint in Los Angeles, and then West Central Minnesota between Spicer and Atwater, and now Nordland. Yeah.
Doing what?
Pastor,
when you're meandering. Okay, yeah. So
meandering,
I was just picturing. I don't know what's going on here.
I like to
Yeah,
meander. It's just
right.
like, hey, see what's up.
I kind of want to do
See
that
what's
too.
up. I did youth ministry for a number of years, and predominantly in the metro, and then decided to go to seminary and become a pastor, and then been doing that for the last, what is it now, about eight years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So seminary was at Concordia.
That was at Luther. Went to Luther Seminary in St. Paul.
Okay.
That's a grad school for us pastor types.
Okay.
At least in the Lutheran tradition.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
And your first call was out to faith, right?
Second call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first call was in St. Paul.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long were you here at Faith in Spicer?
2.5 years.
Okay.
Yep. 2.5 years. Then I've been doing interim I did interim in Atwater, at Bethlehem and Atwater, and then began interim at Nordland, and then they suckered me in. And so now I'm there for good.
And you've been there for how long? You
3
said?
years.
3
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into The Link. Give us a kind of a brief summary of what The Link is and what it does.
Yeah. So The Link is a faith-based organization that helps people in need in the community. It started back in 2008. That was kind of the time of the recession. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm sure you remember the housing collapse and just the needs that people had, people losing jobs, a lot of instability in the community. And the churches had been talking for quite a long time about coming together to have a one-stop community resource for people in need. Families would be going from church to church trying to get their needs met. And really, there was a mismatch between what the churches could offer in terms of time of the clergy, knowledge of resources in the community, and then what the families were really needing. Some time, it could have been referrals to resources in the community. So they decided to form an organization under the umbrella of Faith Lutheran Church called The Link, and got a 3-year, $150,000 startup grant from Thrivent Financial for Lutherans at the beginning. So that was kind of the beginning of The Link. At that time, it was Michelle Peterson was the director, and after that, we've had a couple other directors, and then I came on in 2012. And we have several different programs to meet needs in the community. One of the most visible ones is probably the backpack program that we operate.
And that's at school.
Yeah, we provide food for the weekend for students in the New London Spicer schools. so that they arrive at school fed and ready to learn on Monday. 1 in 4 students in the New London Spicer schools are at risk of hunger because they're on free and reduced lunch. So we have 115 students right now who are getting food in their backpack every Friday so that they have what they need.
Yeah, that's cool. Can I jump back into 2008-ish? Is that when did they purchase the clinic building? New London?
No.
Has it always been up there, or where was this?
No, the link started at Faith Lutheran Church.
Okay.
We moved up to, the Covenant Church owns that building.
Oh, they do?
They purchased that building, and we had space there for our household exchange that started back in about 2010. And we decided to move all of our offices and operations up there once we decided we were going to open a food pantry. We felt that just because of the regulations and the needs and just being more hands-on with our volunteers and also to meet the needs of the families that were coming there, we thought it would be good to have one single location. So we moved up to New London actually it was January 31st of 2017, and we opened the food pantry on Valentine's Day just a few weeks later.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So the other programs that we operate, we have the food pantry, like I talked about, a small food shelf. Last month, we served over 70 households, over 100 adults, children and seniors in the community. And we have a community meal that we work with local churches. They really do most of the heavy lifting on that. They every Tuesday, it's called Tuesday's Table. And each year we serve 6,000 to 8,000 meals through that collaboration. We also have our Fill the Gap Assistance program. We call that our client services and outreach. So that's for families who come into our office. You know, they may have a variety of different needs. It could be they're facing unemployment. They have a loss of income. Sometimes it's health crises that people are facing and they need some help to get through that. So Chastity is our staff person who works directly with the families, Chastity and Shauna. And they'll sit down with that person and just kind of go through the resources, look at the challenges the families are facing, figure out what other resources in the community that we can hook them up with, and leverage those resources. And then we have funds that we're able to help people get their needs met. So that's really our Help and Hope program for people. We've got a lot of great stories about, people saving their homes because of the advocacy and the leverage and collaboration that we're able to bring to the table to do that. So we're really, that is kind of the core mission of the link was, to be that place where people could come and they could be treated with compassion and dignity and hopefully find solutions to get people back on the path of stability.
Sure.
No, that's awesome. Who's Shauna?
Shauna Romling is from the Atwater area.
Oh, okay.
She's our third staff person. She heads up our household exchange and our thrift store and then the food pantry.
Okay.
So she came on about 2 years ago after we moved up to New London. We needed more staff capacity with the food pantry and then adding in the backpack program.
Sure.
Can I piggyback
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
from a pastor's perspective of what the link does and what it offers, as far as services for the church? Because obviously we get a lot of folks that come in the door and saying, hey, we need some help. What can you do? What can you give? And all that kind of stuff, and help me out. And to send people to the link is kind of having a central location to resource people. And so then as clergy, we can, and a staff, we can be freed up to do other things, but we can still able to help people and direct them towards people that are at the link that are actually trained for this, that actually, are professionals around this area, which is really, it's really powerful instead of trying to figure it out on our own.
Yeah, I bet.
So this is, as churches, it's really a powerful resource, and we're very fortunate to have that in our, New London Spicer, Northern Kandiyohi County community. Yeah.
It's a great avenue for them. What? How many other churches are kind of involved with you, would you say?
I would say 13 to 15 churches are on board on different levels.
Sure.
Depending on what their financial resources are, what their volunteer resources are, and just how closely they connect with the mission. But New London Spicer, that ministerial association, has been working together for quite some time to meet the needs and to support the link.
Sure.
Mark, you might know this. How many churches are in the area? How many churches in Kandiyohi County? Do you know?
A lot.
A lot.
I
What
really
if you
no.
had
I
to
don't.
guess? I mean,
I don't know.
So you think 13
really
to
don't.
15 maybe use your services, work with you, have relationships with you? I was just kind of curious out of like how many we think are probably around here. I wonder. You think
In
there's-
Kandiyohi County, there's about 70 to 80,
There
I
are
believe.
that many?
Yeah.
That many?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so for the link, I mean, you guys are the link is northern Kandiyohi, focused more on northern Kandiyohi County.
Yeah.
So probably 13 to 15 congregations that are connected to the link. There's not many that are not connected in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think, the concentration with it being part of the New London Spicer
Yeah,
Ministerial
school district.
Association
Sure.
and being, the school district kind of. So we have less engagement from more of the Sunberg or Wilmer area, but that's because our focus of our mission and helping people is really in northern Kandiyohi County.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool. You offer a lot.
Yeah, you do offer a lot. So how could somebody listening be involved, or how could they be of help, or can they be of help to you and the link? Or
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to be involved with the link. We have an event coming up this summer called the Rib Fest, and there are so many ways just to get involved with the Rib Fest, but we ask people to make pies because we provide pies, pies and brownies. We have rib teams, so people smoke those ribs, and they have a knack for the things that I don't in terms of grilling and barbecue, but they really have a passion, and, they show up early in the morning and smoke those ribs and provide them all day. We have volunteers in our food pantry. There's, of course, making a monetary gift is always, that fuels our mission as well, and it makes it possible to serve those children, families, and seniors in the community who are on the edge or who need some extra food, or those kids who need food in their backpack. So if people have a gift or an idea to give, I would encourage them to reach out to us. There's so many things that people come to us with needs in the community that sometimes if we just know the right person and the right resource, we can call that person up and we can make that connection happen.
This is back to the basics.
Yeah. That we actually transitioned that out. So just the basics was an event that we did for several years. We worked with each church. So let's say Peace Lutheran Church would collect shampoo and conditioner. Nordland might collect razors. Our Lady of the Lakes might collect, I'm trying to think, dish soap. And so each church would sponsor a household or hygiene item, and then we would bring them all to one location. In the last couple of years, it's been Crossroads United Methodist Church in Burl Spicer over by Tinewell. And then we would have a distribution on Saturdays. And the fun part about that event was not only just to see how people in the community and how those churches really rallied around that item. And the goal was always to have about 300 of each item. But it was also great to see the second or third graders come and set up that event. They can haul product so quickly that would have taken us just such a long time, but they have all this energy. And so we also try to partner with the schools and engage people from, all ages to be involved in caring and thinking about your neighbors and in your community. Because when one person struggles, it's like the body of Christ, right? When one part is struggling, it impacts the whole body. So, that's how we see our community and how we can come together. To make the body better.
Preach it, sister.
Yeah, you go. Those little buggers just feed off each other too, don't they?
Oh, there's so much energy.
Get rolling, right?
Yeah. They did it so fast. Sometimes they would, haul this product in and we think it would take like 2 hours and they'd be done in 20 minutes. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're great. And, that goes back to the teachers and the school being so supportive.
Yeah.
And really the community being supportive.
Yeah. How did you personally get involved?
Well, I was hired back in 2012, and before that, I was actually on the advisory board. This was before we became incorporated as a separate organization, but for many years, there was a separate advisory board that worked under Faith to support the link and to build those connections in the community. So I was on the board or the advisory board, and then I was hired in 2012 to be the director. And at that time, I was client services and outreach, volunteer engagement, and management. I needed to fundraise a bunch of money because we had that 3-year startup grant, and we needed to figure out how to become financially sustainable. So working with our board to create some fundraising opportunities that we built up over the years. And then, so it was a one-person shop at that point. And over the years, we've expanded
That's awesome.
and also expanded our programming and our impact and our fundraising.
What has been like the most challenging thing or experience, or what's been something tough about maybe your position or that the link has gone through?
Yeah, well, I think the challenge when I came on of figuring out how to raise funds and ask our community for support was a challenging evolution, I think, for the link. And we've grown a lot over the past 7 years in doing that. But I think trying to understand what our donors want, what the community wants, where the need is, and then what the families need and what the community is. So trying to string that together and then tell that story to our community. It's certainly been a challenge, but I think it has reaped that struggle and figuring out what is the story and what connects people. And it really is story and struggle, because I think there are so many people who could say, well, I'm one job away from maybe needing the link services, or one health crisis in my family away from spending all of our savings. So I think that, inspiring people is a challenge, but that we've found a good mix of ways to do that. But going back to the story, that is what people care about. They want to know that when they give to an organization, that they're really making a difference. So to really make sure that we're communicating that to the community in a consistent way. So finding the right mix, I think, is for any organization is the challenge, and where the magic really lies.
How do you communicate that to donors? Like, are they able to kind of see how they're impacting people, or how do you kind of? I can see how that would be tough.
It is challenging because so much of the work we do is confidential in nature. Mm-hmm. So we tell stories, and sometimes we have families that are willing to open up their life. We've done videos of people kind of giving a testimonial about how the link was able to impact their life and the difference it has made. We also just collect anonymous stories, and we'll tell them in a way that doesn't give away their identity. But some of the families they're okay with us telling their story because they want those dollars to be there for somebody else who might be experiencing the same thing.
Sure.
I'll tell a story about a family.
Good. Yeah, go for it.
So this is from a couple of years ago. And sometimes we don't always know the impact that we really make for a family until they can move beyond what they've experienced. We helped a family who had who faced health crisis with both adults in the household, and they had basically spent their savings. I mean, they had significant savings, but once you start getting into healthcare costs, that can go pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And the family was running behind in their house payment. They needed $4,000 to get out of the hole. And working in the real estate business, that's probably 3 to 4 months of mortgage, probably around 3. So we worked with their church, and we applied for a Good Samaritan grant from the Wilmer Area Community Foundation. And then we used resources that we had to help that person get caught up. And, of course, the family was so grateful, but a year later, that person came in and made a gift of $1,000 to our organization. Wow. So when we think about people in need, I think a lot of people have in their mind that it's always people maybe who I think we have stereotypes that people who don't work enough or they don't have a job, but sometimes just life happens and people hit a bump in the road and they just need a little help to get through something. And then their life they're right back on the path they need to be. So that's one example of the way that we're able to help somebody facing a really tough time, just weather that storm and bring the community together to do that.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
So people that ask for help are not always lazy.
No, far from it. Yeah. Some people are just working and working and working. And, if you do the math on a minimum wage job, if you don't have a lot of education or resources or just the right type of job, I mean, if you're working two full-time, a full-time job, just to meet your basic needs, you need to make more than minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think one of the things that the link also offers for the broader community, even for those that don't have the need, but is education. So stuff like this, it's like stories like this that say, okay, this image that I have in my mind is that people that are in need are just out for handouts, looking for handouts, and it's not necessarily true, just like what Rhonda was talking about. And so we get so insulated into our own lives that we don't spend time knowing other people's stories and understanding other people's lives, because it's just me and my own, right? Mm-hmm. And so we don't understand the broader context of people that are in need and what their lives are really like.
Yeah, we are so close as staff to knowing those stories and what the struggles are, and we're compassionate and empathize with people, but that's why telling stories is so important, because when we are able to bring that story to other people and so they hear that, they're like, oh wow, okay, I never thought about it like that. So yeah, we're very close to it, but that's one of the challenges, is just exuding that compassion for other people and making sure that carries through in our work and our communications.
Yeah, it's good hearing real stories.
This work can be a bit heavy,
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that we always, try to make sure that we're communicating is that there is hope and there is help out there. And so for us, it's getting people in the right chair, on the bus, so to speak. So there are a lot of people who just need a little help to get there. So
Yeah.
Speaking to the heaviness of the work, I think, like the work that you all do, that you and Shauna and Chastity do, among others, it's heavy for you to carry. So it's like, anytimes if you're out there listening to this story and you see these guys, it's like, hey, thanks for what you're doing. You're doing important work, but then also, maybe there's ways that they can volunteer or contribute in order to make your life, to support what you're doing, but to also make your own personal life a little easier, knowing that, okay, there's a community behind us and we're still doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Instead of, oh my God, this is like so heavy and so dense and there's so much need and it's so overwhelming, and to know you've got a community behind you to say, hey, keep going, keep going, keep going, is important, I think, from us,
Yeah, from an organizational perspective, I mean, supporting our staff. And if they say, I really need to take the day off because something happened. And, so I think we've created a culture within our organization that's really supportive of all of us. We're all mothers, and we all have kids who are involved in a lot of activities. So not only do we try to really meet that need in the community, but we really try to think about, what makes the Link a great place to work at. And part of that is that we have a supportive staff community. Our board supports us, and that we're also meeting our mission. So trying to find that sweet spot of meeting the needs of the community, and then also being a great place that people can work at.
Sure. Who or what inspires you to do this kind of work?
Well, I would say I was probably inspired when I was a young parent. I had 2 kids and, I lived in poverty, and I knew that, getting my education was the way for me to get out of poverty and make sure that I provided a really good life for my kids. So I would say my kids are certainly an inspiration to me. And I think just being treated along the way on my journey with compassion and people helping me. So you got to give it back.
I see. I think it's your daughter, right? She's going to be working at Red Star this summer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm excited for her. She was an intern in the community. And of course, both my kids have been Link volunteers over the years, but
Sure.
that's also part of, I guess who I am and who I am as a parent is that, that you pitch in, you help other people. And again, how many people are one job away or one health crisis away from needing the help of the Link. So we have to give when we can.
Well, I want to know what you do to decompress yourself when you leave. How do you relax? What do you do?
I think most people would say that relaxation is not my strong suit. I'm kind of a homebody, honestly.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see me at the brewery. My cousin and her husband own the brewery. So you'll see me there, having a meal with family or friends. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of in the phase in my life. My youngest daughter is graduating.
Okay.
This year. So I'm kind of at the tail end of child rearing in a sense of being at Monday through Friday, making dinner or attempting to make dinner, as it turns out. So I think my life is going to transition some because I just don't have to be as hands-on anymore. So I am going to look into new ways to decompress.
Oh, that's good. Why don't you tell us again how people can connect with you or get a hold of you if they want to, whether it's website, telephone, location?
Yeah, so we're in the located at the old clinic building in New London, which is at the top of the hill on North Main Street, right in front of the Covenant Church before Glen Oaks.
Okay.
And our door is the back purple door. And we are, our phone number is 320-354-5465. And our website is www.youarethelink.org, and it's all spelled out, YOUARETHELINK.
Are you guys on social too?
Yeah, we're on Facebook.
Okay. What about our community is your favorite part, or what do you enjoy about our community?
Well, I live in Wilmer. So Wilmer is different than New London and Spicer. And I think each community has some really great gifts, but I have to say that I just love going down to the brewery in New London and having some food from Model Citizen and having a kombucha and just chatting with people. I love to eat out with friends and try new things. And so just connecting. Food, I think, brings us together so much. And that's one thing that's really integrated into the Link. We have Tuesday's Table, which is a community meal where anybody can come and share a meal. We have the food pantry that provides food so people can have a meal together. And then we have food in children's backpacks so that they have enough food for the weekend. So I find a lot of joy in just connecting with people over food and conversation.
How about you, Mark? You've kind of been all over the place. So what was it like coming here, and what's your favorite part about being a part of this community?
I think, one of the things is the creativity that resides in this community, as far as, the entrepreneurial spirit that resides here with not only different companies, but also just in how to reach out to people, that there's really a strong willingness to really engage in the needs of people here. So there's a generous attitude, I would say, among people here. So that's good. Personally, I like the outdoor recreation opportunities. So, Sibley State Park is is my church. Sure. It's that's my sanctuary, or one of my sanctuaries, that kind of thing. So it's,
Yeah, I would echo that. I think the engagement in our area, whether it's New London, Spicer, or Wilmer, we have incredibly generous people who really care about their neighbors. I'm not sure if that comes from like the Scandinavian German roots or a strong church affiliation or just a community cohesiveness that people see that if their neighbor struggles, that that it impacts them too. But there is a strong sense of need to give back and responsibility, I think, to the community. And it really is inspiring to work with people who want to make a difference and say, I can't make a difference in this person's life, but through various different organizations like the Link, they can come to the Link, they can make a gift, and it makes a difference because we can be that conduit between the generous people in our community and people who need that generosity.
Yeah. Well put.
A huge thanks to Rhonda and Mark for coming on the show. Check out episode number 8 on RibFest, an upcoming fundraiser put on by the Link.
And we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to us if you would subscribe and leave a review. The On Main Street podcast is a bi-weekly show brought to you by New London Real Estate.